Fellas, Silverstone, Charles strikes back. That, I think, is a drive that we're used to seeing from Charles. That's Charles of old, the drive that he put in. Now, say what you want to say about what happened and this, that, and that, which we're going to get into, but I have to give him his flowers. That was a classic Charles drive. Ray?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Charles showed to be the victor in this go around, right? He seemed like he was back to his old self, and yeah, he was able to pull away and take command of the race. So yeah, props to him. Right, I know it did a world of good for him and his confidence and all that. So yeah, it's yeah, Charles back. Maybe we'll see. It's only one race.
Simon?
Charles told everybody, watch me. You thought I was gone? I'm coming. I'm coming now. He surprised everybody in the qualifying, right? Everybody was surprised. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be between Lewis and Antonelli, maybe a little sprinkle of Russell. But Charles said, nope, I'm not done. The car is where it should be now. I've got all my bits and pieces that I stole from Lewis and put on the car. And he's driving. He's got a nice car that he's going to drive. So now I'm a little scared for Lewis, right? Last year, Charles owned Lewis, right? And I know it's just one race, but Charles in this race, made a statement, in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes, how it plays out. But I really think Charles is starting to get his mojo back after this win.
Well, I agree. He's getting his mojo back. You could see it. He seemed, even in the post-race meeting, the press conference, you could see his energy is up. It's high. He's ready. But I'm not going to sign off or count out Lewis yet, because this is not the first time Lewis has had a tough teammate. Charles he's no slouch. He's no Lance Stroll, right? You have to pay attention to him. But I think, seeing what I've seen with Lewis so far, he's happy with this car. Yes, it may seem that Charles has finally unlocked something in the car that he probably, I'm sure, would keep to himself, because his form just came right back up. But I think Lewis is going to rise as well. I think Lewis got him. I think Lewis would have been on Charles if certain things had not happened, right, within the race. But I think Lewis can still take
what?
No, well, not jumping for the end of the race, that was a factor. I think they all had the potential. George was the sitting duck, but I don't want to go too far, so I'm just going to say things like that. Go ahead.
All right. No, okay. I just know, before George pitted and Lewis pitted, George was running away with it. Antonelli couldn't even catch him, right? I mean, when Antonelli finally changed his tires and got newer tires in Charles, that's when he was catching him. But when it was equal, Antonelli couldn't catch Charles. Charles is all I'm saying is I'm worried. I am worried for Lewis at this point. We'll see what happens in the next race, but I'm worried that Charles has figured something out. He's got all these little, the brake issue sorted. So let's see what happens in the next race, which is Spa, which is going to be a very telling race.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a telling race. Ray?
Yeah, well, again, I said for Charles, we'll see, right? This was his first coming out. He had the measure of Lewis on this go around, right? In the beginning of the race there, it seemed like Lewis couldn't stay on his bumper for a while, on his gearbox, right? And then fell back into the clutches of Antonelli, because I was hoping that they would, well, I've found out now that in Formula One, there's no such thing as team. Hoping that they would just roll together, draft each other, pull away, and then go have their fight later. But that's not the case, right? So, yeah, I'm not sure. Yes, I can't say it until the next race, right? Because this was just one out of, so far. So we'll see. But I'm a bit concerned in a way, right? To see what happened there, because I think Lewis said that they may have made some changes in the car between the sprint race and the big race, where it kind of induced some with the wing that kind of induced some of the understeer that he was feeling, right? So he was trying to dial out the oversteer and probably went a little too far with the and got into some understeer territory. So
yeah, they took some wing out. They might have taken a little bit too much wing out of it. But I'll moving with that. Antonelli's biggest rival, reliability or Russell? My hat is in reliability. I think Mercedes is if he loses the championship, it's going to be because of Mercedes reliability issues based on what we're seeing. If they can get that straight, I'm pretty confident he has the measure of George. Simon?
Yeah, Antonelli right now is out driving pretty much everybody, right? He can afford to mess up and still recover. Today, he showed me a lot of character. Even when the car wasn't right, he was still trying to get out there and get that 1 point. He wanted 1 point. And he didn't get it, all right, obviously, but because of the penalty. But he was really, trying to move ahead. I think it was Colapinto or Ocon was behind him and would have taken that 1 point from him. But he was, even with the car damaged, he was still trying to get ahead and was getting ahead of number 11. If Russell is able to beat Antonelli this year, it's going to come down to reliability. It's going to come down to reliability and something that I said last week. If he gets too frustrated and his inexperience gets the best of him, that's the only way Russell is going to win points over him. I think Lewis can even beat him right at this point if he does either one of those two as well.
Well, I'll say this just a second, Ray. I'll say this. What Kimi showed today for me was a level of maturity in that he's driving that car, just like you said, Simon. He's driving the car. The car has issues, but then he calculates to say, you know what? Where am I? You're P10. I'm going to stay out for that point. That right there, and the way, the tone in which he said it, composed, not emotional, not he was composed, right? That for me is the shot across the bow for George to say that, hey man, he's dialed in. Kimi is a force to be reckoned with within Mercedes and for everyone else. But I think for George is going to have to dig deep if he's going to try to beat Kimi. And based on what he said after he came in, he was gifted second place, and he knows that. And I appreciate him saying that. But when he came over the radio to say to the team, yeah, the straight line speed wasn't there, and Toto came on to say, no, the speed was good, George. I was like, ooh, you got slapped by the headmaster or the boss on the air when you were trying to throw the team under the bus. He's not in a good place with the team. Ray?
Yeah, well, if Kimi loses, it's going to be with Mercedes, and he's supposed to be Mercedes' boy. So is this how they, treat their boy by giving him a car that's substandard?
Who?
Right?
Who's supposed to be Mercedes' boy?
Kimi.
Oh, okay.
Kimi. It's like it's Toto's, adopted son.
Yeah.
So again, is this the way they show the love? It's devastating. And I think Kimi, he wanted to get the point because he knows having the points can come in critical towards the end of the year, right? People have lost by 1 point, so he wanted to do that. But I was very shocked, right, that he's being bitten by these bugs while Russell doesn't seem to be having them as frequently as he does, right? So the question is, really, is Mercedes really supporting Kimi, or are they undercover doing Russell? Because hey, what I'm saying, I don't put anything past these guys as I am learning. So yeah, they hung him out to dry. So my opinion.
Well, maybe, possibly, but I want to contrast Kimi's response to, let's say, the team giving him a car that had some issues, right? And let's be honest, it was a brake duct. We don't know, but it came dislodged and it ruined his race. So we know that for a fact. But compare Kimi's reaction to that, and we know he had a DNF as well, to Max's, as Max's race devolves. right? Max, I felt it for Max, but things I noticed is that when he was getting out of the car, George, I believe, got a penalty for throwing the harness around the helmet surround on the back. Well, not even
Hans
the Hans. It was a part of that's attached to him. It was the part of the car that sits around his helmet.
Oh yeah,
He threw that onto the track, and there was a big stink about it. And I remember, it's funny, the commentators also said it at the time. Interesting that he threw that and not the steering wheel, right? Because that's expensive. What did Max throw out of the car? He threw the steering wheel, right, out of the car. And I was like, ooh, Max is done. I think he's done with Red Bull right now, right? And then his comments over the air, because normally you don't bash your team out in the open like that. You do it behind closed doors. I think Max has lost respect for Red Bull, and I think he has now a foot and a half out of Red Bull. And I compound that by saying what he said in the post-race press conference. He was like, and I understand his frustration. He said once, yeah, okay, twice, but 3 times. And I understand is that the wing didn't slam close down when it was supposed to, and he lost it. Because I saw it, I was like, nah, he lost the rear. Anyway, Simon, your thoughts? What do you feel about it?
I think Max is very frustrated. I think Max knows he has options. And when you have options, you act a certain way. And right now he's acting a certain way when it comes to the team and whoever, is associated with Red Bull. He knows that if they don't do what they're supposed to do or get him to a point where he's competitive, he's gone. He has that in the back of his mind. And he's going to force the issue. He's going to say stuff on air that he probably shouldn't say. He's going to throw the steering wheel. He's going to make an adult temper tantrum, right? In a sense. So, he was competitive today, and there was a mistake on the car. Any other race car driver would take that as part of racing. Antonelli did, right? Charles has had his issues during the year, and he's been frustrated and visibly so, and has a right to be, but he's not saying the same. He's not saying the same things that Max is saying. Right, Charles is fully committed to Ferrari, right? Lewis is fully committed to Ferrari. Kimi is fully committed to Toto,
right.
And so it's to me, it's this him being Max. He has options. He can go to Mercedes if he wants to. He can go to McLaren. He can demand what he wants, and he's exercising those rights.
Yeah, clearly he is. And I mean, I think with all that has happened at Red Bull with the Christian Horner and all the other seasoned top level people that have left, I've said it before. I think it's a team that's imploding. It's dying from within. And I think if Max leaves, that's it. That's it. They're I'm nothing against Hadjar, because Hadjar is good, but he's still young. He could have learned some stuff from Max to help him, as I'm sure Charles is learning from Lewis. You could learn to improve yourself. The only one I think that's really not learning from a world champion is Lance Stroll. But I think, Max is letting everyone know, I'm out of here. And I think when he leaves, if this continues, Red Bull's going to fall back in form like all the others.
Well,
Williams.
That's funny.
McLaren.
Funny you say that, because I don't think so. Hadjar showed me something in this race that the car is almost there. Right? Hadjar outperformed Max this entire weekend. He outperformed in the practices. He outperformed in almost in qualifying, right? And in the sprint race, right? So to me, Hadjar is a good driver.
Oh yeah,
Hadjar he's nothing else to prove to me. He is a great driver. And if Max does decide to go somewhere else, whether it's Mercedes, I think they'd pick up Russell. And I think they'll be strong. They might even pick up Alonso. I think they'll be strong there too. So I I do think there comes a time in humans where you get frustrated and fed up with the person you're trying to support. And if that person is not, reciprocating or providing the same type of energy, you don't put as much effort into it as you should. You put 100%, but you're not going to put 105 or 110.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If you put 100.
Yeah.
If you
no, you got to do your job, because if your reputation is on the line in F1, you might not get a job in the factory or as a mechanic. But you're like, well, why should I go above and beyond?
Right. Well, I think in Max's case, he would dial it back and he would get away with it, because yes, you're right. Hadjar beat him this weekend, but we know Max wasn't happy with the car, and even so, wasn't happy with the car. He was strong for what the car was during the race. Lewis had trouble passing him. George had trouble passing him. Right? Like they all know he's not going to make it a walk in the park for you. You got to work for it. So saying that, the other part of this race is the FIA F's up again. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get it. The first one, I get it. I guess Lewis has to eat that. It seems like he might have engaged the clutch after the fourth light. That's something you would normally do before. And even though his car didn't move or leave his pit box, it triggered the sensor, and they hit him with that. The other one, before we get to the other one, the big one, that decided everything. Kimi Antonelli, for Christ's sakes, the guy's car is handicapped. He's trying to keep it on track. You're gonna level a penalty on him for track limits when he's just trying to keep it on track? He's having an issue. That was dumb, I think. But go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, I think, and Kimi's penalty to me was something they could easily not given him. Right? They decided to, on the letter of the law, that yes, he went out of bounds on the track more than 4 times, and so now they have to give him a penalty. But did he advance? Did he get an advantage from going off the track that last time? Maybe we all know he didn't, but maybe he did it 7 or 8 times and they just didn't tell us. Right? Maybe there was a multitude of times that he did it and they were like, look, dude, like, we can't. We let the 4th and 5th one slide, but we can't let the 8th and 9th one slide, because he was all over the place. I don't know if you were able to watch him. Yeah, he was all over the place. So until he figured out how to drive the car, which was amazing.
Well, he was all over the place then because the car was handicapped, right? And all I'm saying is take that. And he wasn't. What advantage was he gaining? No one was near him. Nobody was near him at the time. So I think the FIA, and then the FIA has to get their act together, because they are unnecessarily weighing in, I think, at times when they should be silent, right? So they need to figure out when, and then there are times when they should and they don't, right? So the other one is with the safety car at the end of the race. Like, I thought we were going to get a 1-lap sprint. That's why Ferrari brought in Charles and Lewis to cover, right? And we already know how that goes, right? From Abu Dhabi. But then all of a sudden, you're like, okay, they're going to let him go. The safety car stays out. Like, what is going on? But anyway, go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as the cars have all been lapped or get in front of, I guess, relapped, right, into the back, you don't have to wait until they're, a full lap ahead.
Or caught up. You don't have to wait until they're caught up.
Right. Just let them, as soon as they're a quarter of a lap ahead, they're not going to catch them.
Yeah, let them go.
If they're going full speed. So that was one mistake. They could have started that exercise of letting the safety car and end on time, right? And then they don't have to have them go in front of the pace car, in my opinion. Why can't they just slowly go back into their position? Right?
Well, no, the rule is they have to unlap. So when they go past the safety car, but here's the thing. It's almost like they're not thinking ahead, that if you're going to do that, have it done anticipating that you're going to let them run for one lap.
Right.
It's like they waited and they were like, oh, okay, let's let them unlap. And then it's like there's not enough time.
Right. Either you let them unlap and you race, or you don't let them unlap at all and you just finish on the safety car. Right. And, everybody wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think George would have had a hard time keeping Lewis off of him.
Yeah.
And he might have had a hard time keeping, I think it was Hadjar. Who came in fourth? I don't know who came in fourth.
I think it was Hadjar.
Yeah. I think it would have been a hard time for him to keep Hadjar off of him as well. But I think they both had the same worn tires, so it wouldn't have been a major issue for Russell to keep him behind him. But in the race of points, Lewis lost, 4 points.
Yeah.
Or 3 points in that situation, but it's only 3. So I don't think Lewis is sweating it. He still have, another 13, 12 races to go, but still, you're going to come back to that one day and say, man, those 3 points, gonna hurt.
Yeah, the moving in the grid box killed Lewis's race, right? Because if he hadn't gotten that, we could have seen what would have happened then, whether or not he might have been, with the way everything unfolded, if he might have been able to get anywhere near Charles. But Charles was in a league of his own this weekend. But yeah, it robbed us of the end, and for that I was like, here we go again. Sometimes they need to know, I don't know, they have to sort themselves out. It's not in the days of where you had like Charlie Whiting that was seasoned, been there forever. He knows, and a staff that's been there forever. These guys are learning, and women are learning as they go. So I give them that grace, but it is a little frustrating to see. So moving into the driver's standings, I mean, Kimi's still up there, but we will see if Mercedes is what kills his forward progress, because that's what it seems to be right now.
He's only 25 points ahead. That's one race. So if he DNFs again and Russell wins, they're tied, right? And then if Lewis gets up there, him himself is only going to be, a couple of points away from Kimi as well. So it's still anyone's game. And I think Charles is not over. It's not over for him.
No.
We got to keep our eye on Lando and Piastri. I think they're still there, but they're not in the mix right now. But yeah, it's a 3-person race right now for the championship.
I'll just say that it's sad to me what's happening with Oscar Piastri. Like, he's like, I don't know, it's like he's just falling off. But I don't know, that's one of the things I was noticing in this race. I was like, my God, like, and Lando too, you don't hear of them. And I know that I believe McLaren took the power upgrade. Mercedes ran their car without using the power upgrade. So something is amiss here.
Well, Zach Brown said he would not. They do have a power upgrade coming. And he said it's probably after Spa before they institute it. So, McLaren is still in the mix if that power upgrade, because they're not too far off. They weren't too far. Orlando wasn't too far off. No, he didn't have the pace, but he wasn't too far off. So, you will see what happens when they do the power upgrade. Zach Brown said he was excited about it because it's still early in the season, and he feels that the power upgrade is going to be significant
for them. Well, what's for sure for this season is it's the most exciting from the point of view of how many different teams can challenge or upset the apple cart, but it still seems that Kimi has that lock for now on the front row.
It's only 25 points, man.
I know. But if his team does what they're supposed to do, I think he'll pull it back out again, because it's everyone else is fighting for second and third. And the odd case is a win, like we see today, or what we saw with Lewis in Austria. So the other slap in the face for Lewis was that, he really wanted to win this one, your home Grand Prix, and Charles got it. So I think Charles wears that as an extra feather in his cap to be like,
watch out. I'm telling y'all, watch out. Next
1 year.
Watch out. Spa is going to tell me a lot, though, because that's
that's fast.
Very, very fast track.
Yeah,
long
classic.
Straights.
Yep,
and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's one of Lewis's favorite tracks.
Oh, he loves that track too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. I think, Kimi, Russell, Charles, Lewis. I don't know. I don't know about Max. I thought he was coming back in the mix but his attitude this weekend is telling me that, like you said, half of his mind is out the door, or he knows he has options, so he's flexing his muscles right now.
Yeah. I think Max's comments right now is like to the team, shut up and give me a car that I can race with, you know, and we'll see if Red Bull can do that. Predictions. What are your thoughts, Simon?
For Spa?
Yeah, for Spa.
All right, so I can't be a hypocrite. I got to continue to be consistent. So I'm going to go with Charles coming in second.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Kimi coming in first, and I know that's an easy pick, but he would have finished first today if the car didn't have any troubles. And I think Charles and Lewis are going to be battling for second and third. I still don't think Russell's there yet. Because, you know, I think all things being equal, Lewis outraced Max and Russell today. He would have passed Max. Well, he did pass Max.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think Lewis is still, you know, ahead of the game when it comes to them. And he still might be ahead of the game when it comes to Charles. Charles might just have had a great weekend. But, man, Charles has always been a great driver. And people with confidence at anything that they do, they're hard out.
Yeah. I'm not giving up on Lewis. Like I said, it's not the first time he's had a tough teammate. But I think, you know, I think it's going to be George to win it. Right? Harried by Kimi. And Kimi is going to get that, you know, reluctant second place. And I think third place is going to be Lewis. I think he's going to send a shot back across Charles's bow. Charles fourth. That's my predictions. Yeah, that's my predictions for it. So with that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say this last thing, that it's all things being equal and there's no stupid, you know, reliability issues. I think it's Mercedes, Ferrari for sure on the podium.
Okay. All right. With that, everyone, as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on all things the fellas, and ring the notification bell. And we'll see you at Spa. Take care.
Laters.